Hey all, Ron here from Military Images Magazine with a new episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail. Today, I want to take you to the northern United States in 1861, where a flood of unprecedented bad news swept across the front pages of newspapers. Secession, formation of the Confederate States, the bombardment of Fort Sumter, deadly riots in Baltimore and St. Louis, the Battle of Bull Run, and the great skedaddle by the Union Army back to Washington, D.C., a lopsided loss at the Battle of Ball's Bluff in Northern Virginia, death and disease snuffing out the youth of a generation. News fatigue, it was real, and it took a toll on the population. Then, one day in November, one single day in November, it all changed. In the streets of New York City on November 16th, early risers passing by the offices of the Daily Herald were greeted by the latest bulletin boards that were posted in front of the building. In big flaming letters, it said, "The arrest of Arch-traitors Slidell and Mason." Now, you students of the Civil War know James Mason, former chairman of the United States Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and John Slidell, a prominent New Orleans lawyer, had been dispatched by Confederate President Jefferson Davis as envoys to secure British and French recognition of the Southern Confederacy as a sovereign nation. When you consider Europe's dependence on Southern cotton and its overall sympathies to the South, a number of folks were pretty optimistic that Mason and Slidell could do it. They could negotiate for a peaceful relationship and recognition by the European powers. But those hopes and dreams fell apart. The plans fell apart on November 8th, 1861, when U.S. Navy Captain Charles Wilkes, he's pictured here, commander of the USS San Jacinto, captured Mason and Slidell aboard a British mail ship, the Trent. When the good news of the capture of the Arch-traitors landed in New York City on November 16th, crowds went wild with glee. To give you a sense of the moment, I want to read to you a description of the scene on the streets of the city from the New York Daily Herald, written on November 17th, just a day after the news was received. So here we go. Yesterday morning, a piece of intelligence was received which completely electrified our people and cast all the other achievements of the national government into the shade. Allusion is made, of course, to the capture of Messrs. Slidell and Mason, the two rebel emissaries who were considered to have made good their escape to Europe in spite of the vigilance of our blockading squadron. But it seems a smart Yankee captain was in the right place just at the right time and nabbed the unlucky conspirators just as they thought all danger had been surmounted. It would be impossible to describe the excitement created in the city by the news. The report was looked upon with incredulity at first, for the public mind has been so often distracted by unreliable news of late that every rumor is regarded with suspicion now until all doubt is removed by the most certain intelligence. So it was yesterday. Early in the day, the people downtown read the bulletins posted in front of the newspaper offices announcing in flaming characters the arrest of the Arch-traitors Slidell and Mason, and shook their heads dubiously, regarding the news as being too good to be true. But as dispatch after dispatch arrived, confirming the intelligence, the people began to believe, and the most extravagant joy was everywhere exhibited. The masses gave vent more particularly to their feelings, the capture being regarded as the best thing that has occurred since the commencement of the rebellion, And however grave the international aspects of the affair may be, it is quite certain that the popular voice fully endorses the action of Captain Wilkes. The news completely shut out every other subject of conversation. The merchants on the exchange discussed it from a speculative point of view. The numerous British residents in our midst evinced an unusually agitated frame of mind, considering the business in the light of a very high handed and outrageous proceeding, which would be given prompt attention by Her Majesty's government. It was the opinion of this class that nothing short of the surrender of the rebel emissaries to British protection, the cashiering of Captain Wilkes, and an ample apology from the president would satisfy the majesty of British honor. So there you have the newspaper passage. In the end, that last observation by the Daily Herald, the idea of the grave international aspects of the affair, it proved true. President Lincoln knew instantly, according to reports, that Captain Wilkes's action was completely illegal. Britain was upset, and understandably so. One of their mail steamers had been boarded by the United States on open seas. The result was not good. Sabers rattled and missives were fired back and forth across the Atlantic. In an early test of Lincoln's diplomacy, he and his administration diffused the situation peacefully. Wilkes got a new name, the Notorious Wilkes, and continued to push the limits of maritime law through the rest of the war. But for a brief time, in November 1861, Wilkes was truly the celebrated man of the hour, and he gave the loyal people of the United States something to cheer about in a decidedly cheerless year. Well, thanks for listening. See you on the next episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail.